Better late than never, they say, and Cuphead the delicious last course arrives on your table as fresh as ever. A sweet epilogue to the end of the adventures of Cuphead and Mugman, this time joined by floating nether spirit Miss Chalice. Your main aim is to get her body back so she can be free of her astral chains. Chef Saltbaker offers his help, but with one downside. Either Cuphead or Mugman becomes a spirit themselves. Saltbaker promises to help out, granted you get all the right ingredients to him for a few places on the island. What he didn't tell you is the characters holding onto these items are some of the roughest and toughest foes around. Not having played Cuphead for a few months, I was a bit rusty getting back into it. My reaction time felt slow, I was taken aback by all the small projectiles, but with a few dozen deaths here and there, I was back at it again. While Cuphead and Mugman play like normal, Miss Chalice has her own special abilities that take a second to get used to. For example, you parry with her dash instead of a jump, and she can double jump too. On top of that, you can do an invincibility roll to get out of a jam. Running through the bosses though, it felt like they were made to be fought with her specifically. If you switch back to the rambunctious Bowl Boys, it'll feel a bit more challenging depending on your loadout. There's more items and plenty of fun stuff here too. Porkrind is willing to sell the goods, and you can get more coins by doing these king challenges. They're unique in the fact that you have to parry everything and you have no weapons to take in with you. I think it's really good for testing your skills and a great way to sharpen them if you're not so confident with your parrying. Going up against the bosses, I played with more or less the same loadout from the main game. Good old spread, charge, and roundabout are the three I cycle between the most. Like I mentioned, there are new abilities to get here, and I tried Twist Up, but I figure why not fix what isn't broken. And besides, Miss Chalice's new abilities were good enough, so I was ready to go. The bosses are all great, as expected. I mentioned the King's Gauntlets, and those are different bosses that are a bit quick if you figure them out, but you're only using parries, so it can be pretty tough. My favorite one was the Horse Knight, because his animations are just so funny. In terms of the main bosses, however, they do pose a huge challenge right off the bat, and they are really hard, as expected. Gnome Way Out is super tough because of the little gnome guys just being a total nuisance the entire time. Even during the second phase, they're jumping around, getting in your way, and they're just going to keep catching you off guard, and you're going to die a few times. Phase 3 is going to catch you off guard in the fact that your platforms are going to be disappearing, so you better be careful. One that would have gotten me frustrated if it wasn't absolutely hilarious is Bootleg Boogie, and this one is just great because you are fighting against these mafia spiders and the police. It's so perfect. The way he takes the phone out to call up the goons it's great. Of course, it's a projectile heaven and you're just going to be hitting things left and right, but again, once you get the patterns down, it isn't so bad, and the second and third phases aren't so rough with projectiles either, so you'll be able to clear pretty quickly, I think. The creativity that the studio displays with each fight, it never ceases to amaze me. And then there's the only Chef Saltbaker, and yeah, he's really tough, of course, obviously. But I think it might even be harder than the devil. This first phase in particular is nuts because of the sheer amount of projectiles, the way they move. From the salt to the lemons, it is not easy. However, I will say this, the second and third and fourth phases were actually much easier than I expected. It's just that you have to slog through that first one. It does go by fast though, especially if you're really skilled at the game. Of course I'm not, but I just died many times, and then finally beat the bosses. It felt like it was over pretty quickly, and that's not a knock against this game, but I think it's just because Cuphead is just so fresh and unique that it leaves the fans wanting more. I have no idea what's next for the series, and I'm not sure when we'll get a new game, but the delicious last course, together with the main game, is more than filling enough to last until the next one. Thanks again for watching, everyone, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.